Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to discuss the treatment of schizophrenia, which is called madness, insanity. The drugs which are used in the treatment of schizophrenia or madness, they are called antipsychotic drugs. They are also called major tranquilizers. Nowadays they are also called neuroleptics. So these are the drugs which are commonly used for the psychosis. Psychosis or schizophrenia is a variety of mental diseases like schizophrenia and bipolar disorders, psychotic depression, senile psychosis, various organic psychosis, and drug-induced psychosis. They are also able to improve mood and reduce anxiety and sleep disturbances, but they are not the treatment of choice when these symptoms are primary disturbance in non-psychiatric patients. Neuroleptics, because the name is because these antipsychotic drugs, when they are used, there is a high incidence of extrapyramidal side effects, and that's the reason they are called neuroleptics. At clinical effective dose, schizophrenia, is a chronic disease. There is a marked thinking disturbances. Patient has got emotional withdrawal with paranoid delusions. Delusions are false beliefs, and there are auditory hallucinations, false perceptions. He is maybe tactile hallucinations, auditory, olfactory, different sorts of hallucinations which are false perceptions. There is, as far as the symptoms are concerned, in depression there is chronic disturbance of thinking, emotional withdrawal, paranoid hallucination, and there is clear sensorium, and as far as the causes are concerned, in schizophrenia there is overactivity of dopamine at postsynaptic D2 receptors in mesolimbic frontal system, because it is seen that those areas, their receptor density is increased in brain of non-treated patients, and after treatment with antipsychotic drugs, HVA or homovinilic acid, which is a metabolite of dopamine, concentration is changed in CSF, plasma and urine. Also, there are other theories about the disease, that other neurotransmitters like serotonin, very important, then norepinephrine and gamma aminobutyric acid. These are different neurotransmitters which are involved, as well as there is a theory of glutamate hypothesis of schizophrenia. So these are different theories how the schizophrenia is going to develop, and most of the drugs which are used in the treatment, they are going to be beneficial when they are used for prolonged period. This slide is showing you the etiology of psychosis or the schizophrenia or madness. Mostly it's a slow viral infection with autoimmune properties. There is developmental abnormalities, especially in the temporal lobe and amygdaloid body. There is maternal viral infection, also due to increased blood pressure during pregnancy of the mother. Usually it is inherited, as we say, the genetic predisposition, because it is said that madness runs in families and it's genetically predisposed. Also, stress precipitates an acute attack. So these are the causes of psychosis. As far as the symptoms of the disease are concerned, positive symptoms, delusions are false beliefs like paranoid, that the patient has the false beliefs that he thinks he is a king, or he is the president or prime minister, or he is a great man. So the delusions, they are very common. Then hallucinations, may be olfactory, may be auditory, may be visual. These false perceptions, they are very common in this disease. Then thought disorders, they have irrational conclusions. Then thought insertion by outside agencies, that they have the feeling that somebody is going to control their from outside. Then they have abnormal stereotype behavior, which may be occasionally aggressive, and they can commit sometimes the crime. They can murder in person. So then this is due to neurochemical abnormalities. There is mainly overactivity up to now. They have seen due to overactivity of dopamine at D2 receptors in the mesolimbic frontal area in the brain. And these positive symptoms, their response to drug treatment is very good. Then negative symptoms, there is a withdrawal from the social context with wife, with family members, with friends. That's they don't like to be mixed with these relatives. There is flattening of the emotional responses. So instead of being happy on the good occasions, they are sometimes weeping, they are sad, or on its opposite as well. And this may be due to structural brain damage, atrophy of the brain regions, mainly temporal lobe structures, or neurodegeneration. And these changes or these symptoms, they are refractory to the treatment. That means they don't respond much to the treatment. So there is failure as far as the treatment is concerned. These symptoms, they don't improve because there is a structural brain damage. Before starting the treatment of schizophrenia or madness or major psychosis, a few words about mania and hypomania. Hypomania is the sign and symptoms of hypomania is again psychotic disease. There is excessive elation, dysphoria, irritability, marked insomnia, hyperactivity, uncontrollable speech and activity, impaired judgment. The lesion is in the CNS due to hyperactivity of the catecholamines. Mania is usually alternating with depressive illness. This is called bipolar affective disorder. Again, it's a psychotic disease, and usually mania alternates with depression. That's the reason it's called bipolar disease. On one extreme, the patient is manic or hypomanic, and on other end, he or she is depressed. So there is alteration of depression and mania or hypomania. Disorders of affects are disorder of emotions and mood. Bipolar means that it has two poles or extreme ends. At one time, patient is elated and excited, which is called mania or hypomania, and at other time, he or she is depressed, anorexic. That means he is in depression. Both these conditions alternate with each other. So this is another type of psychosis for which we will discuss the treatment. So the drugs which are used in the treatment of schizophrenia are madness, are psychosis, major psychosis. The drugs they are called antipsychotic drug, are neuroleptic drugs, are major tranquilizers, are the treatment of schizophrenia. The time-tested drug or old drug are the phenothiazine derivatives, classification, phenothiazine derivatives, aliphatic derivatives, chlorpromazine or largectil, time-tested old drug, but has got very common side effects. So, no more use as antipsychotic drug, but still sometimes you have to use because very cheap. It is being used for, as the name largectil means, it has got large uses, starting from antiemetic effects and to up to antipsychotic effects. In between antipyretic, and it's a drug of choice for hiccup, untreatable or which is disturbing sometimes hiccup. Chlorpromazine is a really wonderful drug, a drug of choice. Then piperidine derivatives, thyroidazine or Malaril, piperazine derivatives, fluphenazine, pemphidyl, perfenazine, trifluperazine, stelazine. Next group is thiaxanthine derivatives, thiathoxine, chlorprothoxine, clopenthoxol. Next group is butyrophenone derivatives, which is very commonly used nowadays, haloperidol, haldol, trifluperidol, spiroperidol. Next group is benzoxazoles, risperidone. Next group is dibenzodiazepines, clozapine, again very commonly used nowadays. Next group is thienobenzodiazepines, olanzapine, again very commonly used, very useful antipsychotic drug. Next group is dibenzothiazepine, quetiapine. Next group is dihydroindolone, ziprasidone, molindone. Next group is dihydrocarboxyl, aripiprazole. And next group is dibenzoxazepine, loxapine. This is the list of atypical antipsychotic drugs, because sometimes there is a question that name atypical antipsychotic drugs. So you should know the names: clozapine, doxazepine, asenapine, olanzapine, quetiapine, paliperidone, risperidone, sertindol, zotapine, aripiprazole. These are atypical antipsychotic drugs. This slide is showing you the atypical antipsychotic drugs, which I have given you already the list. So on the first column is the names of atypical drugs. Second column is showing you how they are effective by blocking 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A receptors more than the blockade of D2 receptors. That means their mechanism mainly through 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin 2A is more as compared to dopamine. So the side effects related with the extrapyramidal symptoms and endocrines are less. Some other effects, other receptors which are blocked by these atypical antipsychotic drugs, some of them they block alpha receptors, clozapine, risperidone, ziprasidone, and muscarine receptor blockade like atropine, clozapine, olanzapine. Then some of they are also blocking histamine H1 receptors. Mostly these atypical, they have antihistamine-like effects. And their clinical uses in schizophrenia, they improve both positive and negative symptoms of the disease of schizophrenia. They are also effective in bipolar disorders, which is bipolar mania and depression. Olanzapine and risperidone, along with lithium carbonate, and then also in agitation in Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's, if there has agitative symptoms, it is going to improve. Then also in Parkinson's, in low doses, Parkinson's disease. Then in major depression, aripiprazole, it can be used. As far as the toxicity related with atypical antipsychotic drugs, mainly blood-related agranulocytosis, very important, clozapine, then diabetes, clozapine, olanzapine, hypercholesterolemia, clozapine, olanzapine, then hyperprolactinemia, risperidone. Then there is a prolongation of QT interval in ECG, ziprasidone. There is a weight gain with use of clozapine and olanzapine. So these are important toxic effects of these atypical antipsychotic drugs. So one has to be careful when prescribing these atypical antipsychotic drugs. In this slide, we can see that the neuroleptic or antipsychotic drugs, by blocking D2 receptor or D4 receptor or D3 receptor and other effects, how they are going to improve the effects on the brain and other sites. For example, when they are used as antipsychotic, they are acting on cortex or limbic system, and they are improving antipsychotic, they improve the performance, and that produces sedation and other symptoms of the disease of psychosis. But simultaneously, by blocking the D2 receptors at basal ganglia, they are going to produce disease like Parkinsonism, akathisia, dystonia, dyskinesia or tardive dyskinesia, while by blocking the D2 receptors in tuberoinfundibular pituitary, that is going to increase the release of prolactin, and that is going to cause endocrine effects, gynecomastia, galactorrhea, menstrual irregularity, weight gain. So this is how these antipsychotic drugs, when they are used, how they are going to improve on one part as mesolimbic area, where they are effective mesocortical pathway, which is related with the behavior and all other symptoms of psychosis or psychiatric disease or schizophrenia, but they have side effects related with by blocking dopamine 2 receptors, how they are going to produce Parkinsonism, akathisia, dyskinesia, dystonia and tardive dyskinesia, and by their effects on tuberoinfundibular system, how they are going to produce different endocrine symptoms which are disturbing to these patients. In this slide, you can see the antipsychotic drugs, their relation to chemical structure, to the potency and the toxicities of mostly the typical or classical antipsychotic drugs, phenothiazine, thiazanthine, butyrophenones, and most of the other classical drugs. If you see the drugs, the name of the drugs, these are mostly the classical or typical drugs. Their ratio, dopamine D2 receptors to 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A ratio. If you see the typical drugs, they are mainly having effects on the D2 receptors. Few of the atypicals, the lower, on the left side, you can see the ratio is low. That means they are not affecting the D2 receptor, but rather they are acting on 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin. The clinical potency, as far as the chlorpromazine, which is a typical or classical drug, which was a steroid drug before, but now due to its toxicity it is no more used nowadays. But you can see the clinical potency is low, while piperazine or flufenazine is very high. Likewise, butorphanol, which is very commonly used, is still now haloperidol, high potency drug. So then extrapyramidal toxicity, that means they are blocking at nigrostriatal system. This is maximum with butorphanol or haloperidol, and with the other drug mostly it's low. Then the sedative action, because you know that the drug should produce either sedation or this chlorpromazine is very high in producing sedative action, while it's low with others, while hypotensive action is high with chlorpromazine, while with all others it is low or medium. So this is a slide which is giving you the pharmacological effects of these classical antipsychotic drugs. This slide shows you the differences among antipsychotic drugs as far as the receptor specificity is concerned. Although all effective antipsychotic drugs, they block D2 receptors, the degree of this blockade is in relation to their other actions on receptors varies considerably among drugs. Vast number of ligand receptors binding experiments have been performed in an effort to discover a single receptor action that would best predict antipsychotic efficacy, and the summary of their affinity for other receptors is discussed or shown on this slide. Chlorpromazine has got equal blocking effects on alpha-1 receptors as it is having effect on 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A receptors, which is more, this efficacy is more than D2 receptors, and that is more as compared to D1 receptors. While haloperidol, which is very commonly used as antipsychotic drug, has got more blocking effect on D2 receptors as compared to alpha-1, D4, and then 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A, then D1 and histamine 1. Clozapine, which is atypical antipsychotic, has got more specificity for D4 receptors, which is equivalent to alpha-1 receptors, and which is more as compared to 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A, which is more than D2 and D1. Olanzapine, another atypical antipsychotic, has got more blocking effects on 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A, which is more as compared to histamine 1 and D4 and D2, alpha-1 and D1. Aripiprazole has equal for D2 and 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A, which is more as compared to D4 and alpha-1, histamine 1 and D1. Another atypical quetiapine has got more blocking effect on histamine 1, which is more as compared to alpha-1 and muscarinic 1 and 3 and D2 and 5-hydroxytryptamine 2A. This is a selectivity for different receptors. So by blocking the effects on these receptors, these typical and atypical antipsychotic drug, they are going to show you different responses and their side effects. This slide is going to show you the adverse pharmacological effects of antipsychotic drugs. types of the side effects which are related with autonomic nervous system due to blockade of muscarinic and alpha receptors. There is loss of accommodation, dryness of mouth, atropine-like effect, difficulty in urination, and there is constipation. This is muscarinic cholinesterase blocking effects, and also by blocking alpha adrenoceptors, these drugs they can produce orthostatic hypotension, impotence, failure to ejaculate. These are autonomic nervous system related side effects. Then central nervous system, by blocking nigrostriatal system, dopamine, it can produce Parkinsonism syndrome, akathisia, dyskinesia, which is due to dopamine receptor blockade in nigrostriatal system. Then also can produce tardive dyskinesia due to supersensitivity of dopamine receptors. Then toxic confusional state. This is due to muscarinic blockade. Then very important are the endocrine system, and that is by dopamine receptor blockade, which is resulting in hyperprolactinemia from the pituitary. There is excessive release because the inhibitory control is lost or is blocked. So this hyperprolactinemia is going to give you amenorrhea, galactorrhea, infertility, impotence, and there is increased libido in women, and there is loss of libido in men. And then other types of side effects like weight gain, that may be possibly combined with H1 blocking and 5-hydroxytryptamine 2 blockade. So these are different side effects which are seen with these antipsychotic drugs. This slide is showing you some representatives of antipsychotic drugs with their advantages and disadvantages as when they are used, like phenothiazines, which is a typical antipsychotic drug, chlorpromazine. It is inexpensive, very cheap, very commonly available in excess, but it has got many side effects because it is going to act on different receptors, especially autonomic side effects. They are very severe. Then piperidine, thyroidazine, advantage is slightly extrapyramidal symptoms, but advantage is 800 milligram per day limit, no parenteral form, but it can produce cardiotoxicity. Piperazine, flufenazine, this is available as depot form, also available, but this can increase the possibility of tardive dyskinesia. Then thiotixine, parenteral form is available, so you can give to the psychotic patient or schizophrenic patient by parenteral route. Advantage is that there is a decreased possibility of tardive dyskinesia. Butyrophenone, which is haloperidol, very commonly used, parenteral form also available, very cheap. Several extrapyramidal syndromes, they are very common with haloperidol. Then loxapine, there is no weight gain and very little side effects. Clozapine, many benefit, treatment resistant patients, little extrapyramidal because they are atypical, so in atypical less extrapyramidal toxicity may cause agranulocytosis in up to 2% of the patient, dose related lowering of seizure threshold, so one has to be careful in epileptic patients. Then risperidone, broad efficacy, little or no experimental symptoms, dysfunction at low doses. Then experimental symptoms, dysfunction and hypertension with high dosage. Then olanzapine, again another atypical antipsychotic drug. Advantages: effective against negative as well as positive symptoms, little or no experimental dysfunctions. But the disadvantages: there is a weight gain, dose-related lowering of seizure threshold. Then quetiapine and like olanzapine, there is a less weight gain, may require high dose if there is associated hypertension. Short half-life and twice daily dosing is required in quetiapine. Then ziprasidone, perhaps less weight gain than clozapine. Parenteral form is available. There is disadvantages. There is prolongation of QT interval. Then aripiprazole, there is lower weight gain, liability and long half-life, novel mechanism potential. Then disadvantages, it's a novel toxicity is possible. These are important advantages and disadvantages of typical and atypical antipsychotic drugs. This slide is showing you the dose relationships of antipsychotic drugs, that when you are starting different typical and atypical drugs, what is their maintenance minimum effective therapeutic dose. Chlorpromazine, you start with 100 milligram, you can increase up to 1000 milligram. So the dose, if you sometimes you are asked the question, name any drug which has got a very wide range of the dose, the chlorpromazine is one example, because you can start from 10 milligram as antiemetic or antipruritic, or in the treatment of hiccup, you start with 10 milligram and you can see up to 1000 milligram for antipsychotic dose. So this is one example where from 10 milligram to 1000 or maybe more is the dose of the drug for different indications. Thyroidazine, you should choose minimal 100 milligram, but you can increase up to 800 milligram. Trifluperazine, you start with 5 milligram and then you can increase up to 60 milligram. Fenfenazine, 10 milligram to 64 milligram. Flufenazine, you start with 2 milligram, then you can increase even up to 60 milligram. Haloperidol, you start with 2 milligram and then you can increase to 2 to 260 milligram as usual dose. Loxapine, you start with 10 milligram and you can increase up to 160 milligram. Molindone, you start with 10 milligram, you can increase up to 200 milligram. Clozapine, 50 milligram to 600 milligram. Olanzapine, you start with 5 milligram, which is effective dose, and then you can increase according to the control of symptoms up to 30 milligram. Quetiapine, you start with 150 milligram and you can increase up to 800 milligram. Risperidone, you start with 4 milligram and then you can increase up to 16 milligram. Ziprasidone, you start with 40 milligram and you can increase up to 160 milligram. Aripiprazole, you start with 10 milligram and you can increase up to 30 milligram. So this is how you can choose, you can see the minimal effective therapeutic dose and how you maintain the patient on different dosage of these typical and atypical antipsychotic drugs. And also very important is antipsychotic, because you have to use for years antipsychotic drugs, so they can produce different pharmacodynamic as well as pharmacokinetic interactions. and because pharmacodynamics they are more important because they can have their multiple effects, additive effects when these drugs are combined with other that have sedative effects. So when you combine these antipsychotic drugs with those drugs which have got sedative effects and also alpha adrenoceptor blocking actions, or anticholinergic drugs or effects are those which have they can be these effects they are additive and they are going to supplement the effects. So you should be careful when prescribing these drugs. So overdosage may be dangerous because sometimes these psychiatric patients they can take excessive amount. So one has to be very careful where you have to give a limited dose of the drug that the patient should not take with bad intention for suicidal or with wrongly. So one has to be careful when prescribing these drugs. Today we are going to discuss the treatment of manic or acute manic phase of bipolar disorder, mania and depressive ailment or illness, which was considered as psychiatric disorder. It's not a part of the schizophrenia or madness, it's a separate entity. The treatment of mania or hypomania, the first agent shown to be useful in the treatment of acute manic phase of bipolar disorder is lithium. And lithium is a monovalent cation. It is lightest of the alkali metals, occur in the body in trace amounts. Its salts are highly soluble in water like lithium carbonate and lithium citrate. Other drugs which can be used for the treatment of mania or hypomania, like they are also called mood stabilizing drugs. They are used in the acute phase. Other drugs which can be used are anticonvulsant drugs like carbamazepine, tegretol, and valproic acid. They can be used in the treatment of acute mania or for the prevention of recurrence. Then also lamotrigine is approved for prevention of recurrence. Also gabapentin, oxcarbazepine and topiramate, they are sometimes used in bipolar disorder. And other antipsychotic drugs, olanzapine, quetiapine and risperidone, they can be used sometimes. As far as the lithium carbonate, which is sometimes asked in the exam, write short note on lithium carbonate. Lithium carbonate, as I told you, is a monovalent cation, lightest of the alkalic metals. It occurs in the body in trace amount. The mechanism, before mechanism, we just see this slide about the pharmacokinetics. After oral administration, rapidly and completely absorbed from the gut in 6 to 8 hours. Peak plasma level will reach within 30 minutes to 2 hours. Lithium ion is evenly distributed throughout the body and it is not bound with plasma proteins. Plasma half-life is 20 hours. It can cross blood-brain barrier and 40% is seen in CSF as compared to plasma. Lithium is not metabolized in the body. Virtually excretion is mainly through the urine entirely through the urine. Lithium clearance about 20% of the creatinine. Plasma half-life is about 20 hours. Small amount is secreted in the sweat, 4 to 5%, or in feces less than 1%. Breast milk, some amount which may be toxic to infant is also excreted in the milk. The therapeutic index is low, that is 2 to 3. So during treatment, plasma concentration should be continuously measured. Target plasma concentration is 0.6 to 1.4 milliequivalent per liter. Dosage 0.5 milliequivalent per kilogram per day in divided dosage. As far as the pharmacodynamics is concerned, as far as the mechanism of action is concerned, how the lithium is going to decrease the level of the neurotransmitters which are released, and there is increase in presynaptic destruction of the catecholamines, because in mania and hypomania there is overactivity of catecholamines, or there is increased release of catecholamines. It inhibits the release of transmitter at the synapse. It decreases the sensitivity of postsynaptic receptors. In mania, there is overactivity of catecholamines in the CNS, so lithium corrects it, mainly by inhibiting the entry of calcium in the presynaptic membrane, so neurotransmitter release is inhibited in mania. Also, it alters the action of sodium postsynaptically, so decrease the sensitivity of the postsynaptic receptors. At the molecule level, the sodium, potassium, the magnesium and calcium are the ions responsible for physiological neurotransmission. Lithium inhibits calcium entry presynaptically and therefore stops release of neurotransmitters. In this slide, if you see the slide, how the lithium is going to decrease effect of lithium on IP3, which is inositol triphosphate, and DAG, diacylglycerol second messenger system. This diagram shows the synaptic membrane of a neuron. In this diagram, PIP2 is phosphatidyl inositol 4,5 biphosphate, and PLC is phospholipase C. Then G coupling protein. Effects of this lithium is the activation of protein kinase C, mobilization of intracellular calcium. Lithium, by inhibiting the recycling of inositol substrates, may cause depletion of second messenger source, which is phosphatidyl inositol 4,5 biphosphate, and therefore reduce the release of inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. So lithium may also act by other mechanisms which I have told you, that how it is going to decrease the release of. So this at two steps, from inositol biphosphate to monophosphate and monophosphate to inositol. So this recycling of inositol is blocked by lithium. So this is going to decrease the release of calcium, which is going to decrease the release of catecholamines. So this is the main mechanism how lithium is going to alter or decrease the activity of catecholamines. Lithium displaces calcium and magnesium and increases the fluidity of cell membranes, making them permeable. So the lithium exclusively acts on the CNS. It shows anti-manic effects, that is mood stabilizing effect. It corrects the sleep disorders, but it is not a sedative. It suppresses REM phases and of sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. EEG effects on EEG. It produces high voltage, slow waves with fast beta waves. Also, it can epileptiform seizures are also seen, so one has to be careful when giving to the patient who has a history of epilepsy. As far as the toxicity, because it's a monovalent cation and it will have lot of toxicity. Lithium, when it is used, neurological toxicity, there will be tremors, chorioacidosis, motor hyperactivity, ataxia, dysarthria, aphasia, mental confusion. Then the thyroid functions or thyroid gland, lithium can cause hypothyroidism in 15% of the people. So there will be enlargement of thyroid gland. Then effects on the kidney, there will be polydipsia, polyuria due to loss of ability of the distal tubules to conserve water under influence of ADH. This is called nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Also lithium can cause chronic interstitial nephritis, but it is also seen in manic depressive patient not taking lithium. So this may be a part of the disease. Then minimal changes of glomerulopathy, effects on the heart, toxicity, depression of the pacemaker functions, heart rate will decrease, also reduce the amplitude of T waves. Other effects like teratogenicity, congenital malformation of the heart, toxicity to the suckling infants, edema due to sodium and lithium retention, skin eruptions, leukocytosis. There will be disturbance in sexual function in men. So these are important toxic effects. One has to be very careful when using lithium for the treatment of mania, acute manic phase, or to prevent the recurrence. Other drugs which can use, as sometimes you ask other drugs, one has to use carbamazepine, which is a tegretol, and valproic acid. Other drugs, anti-convulsant drugs which can be used for the treatment of mania, lamotrigine, gabapentin, hexacarbazepine, olanzapine, quetiapine. These are the antipsychotic drugs which are used for the treatment of mania and hypomania. So when the patient is manic phase, you can use lithium and these drugs, and once he is going to the depressive phase, then you can use antidepressants.